All right, American history kids. I hope you guys are having a good time. I do miss you guys. I hope everything's going okay. Going to talk you through a little bit about what's going to happen this week because this week is State Assessment Week. So I want to talk you through a little bit about what that's going to look like, give you a little bit of tips on writing because you're going to be asked to write a little bit today, and then hopefully the project that you guys are doing in class today will kind of help, get your mind thinking of what that's actually going to look like. So I'm going to put my head in a smaller corner so it looks a little bit better. Hide it over here somewhere. And I'm going to open up a Word document. We're just going to talk through a little bit about what you're going to be expected to do. So come Thursday, when we walk into the computer labs, you guys are going to be given a question, and we don't know what that question will be. We don't know what it's about, but essentially you're going to be given a question and several documents to use in order to answer that question, much like a DBQ. Your job, and this is important, so I might encourage you guys to take some notes as we go through this so you know exactly what's expected of you. Your goal is to write a 5-paragraph essay. Whoop. Okay, a 5-paragraph essay. And guys, I know it's not a lot of fun to do these things. Trust me, I get it. But I ask you just give your best effort. Truly try to write a 5-paragraph essay. So let's just break this down right from the beginning before we talk any more about, what it's going to look like. In a 5-paragraph essay, paragraph 1 is your introduction. All right, and apologize for my typing. It is late. All right, but I'm doing it. Paragraph 1 is your introduction. This is where you set the stage for what you're going to talk about. All right, you introduce kind of an overarching theme. You talk about a personal reflection, but you essentially set up your paper for what you're ultimately going to decide, what you're ultimately going to do. So paragraph 1 is an introduction where you set the stage for what you're going to talk about. Your goal should be 4 to 5 sentences for your intro. All right, 4 to 5 sentences is what I expect for your introduction. All right, 4 to 5 sentences. Your final sentence, all right, the last sentence of your introduction paragraph. So the last sentence of your intro is your, anybody know? Thesis. Good job. I'm sure someone said it. All right, my wife said it from up above. I heard her yell thesis, but anyway, the last sentence of your intro is your thesis. And a thesis, you should know what a thesis is by now. You guys have written hundreds of papers, but essentially your thesis is your stance on the question. All right, your stance on the question. So the question could ask something about Truman dropping the atomic bomb during World War I. And you might have to say he was justified or he was not justified. All right, so if you think Truman was justified in dropping the atomic bomb, your thesis statement could say Truman was justified in dropping the atomic bomb because it saved lives, or, and continue on. So you're going to give your stance on the question. So paragraph 1 looks like this. All right, it is your introduction. It sets the stage for what you're going to talk about. Should be 4 to 5 sentences, and your last sentence of your intro is your thesis, all right, which is your stance on the question. And then within your thesis, you should give, I would suggest, this is typical of a 5-paragraph essay, 3 reasons or claims to support your stance. All right, and you should have done this a million times in history or in English. It shouldn't seem abnormal to anyone, but your thesis is going to include 3 reasons or claims to support your stance. So again, like I said, Truman was justified in dropping the atomic bomb because it saved lives. It got the United States out of the war instantly. All right, and you get where I'm going. You would talk about one other. Your next 3 paragraphs. So paragraph 2, 3, and 4 are what we call body paragraphs. All right, body paragraphs. And again, you guys have done this a million times, so I'm not trying to, pander you, but essentially, I'm just kind of going over this so you know. So paragraph 2, 3, and 4 are your body paragraphs, where you are going to discuss each of your reasons/claims. All right, so remember up here in our thesis, we had 3 reasons, claims to support our stance. Each one of our paragraphs is going to discuss those 3 reasons or claims. All right, pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but each one of these paragraphs is going to support each one of those claims. So again, I'm going back to my example of Truman was justified in dropping the atomic bomb. All right, my first claim was that it saved lives. So paragraph 2 will be all about how the dropping of the atomic bomb saved American lives. All right, that's all it will talk about. Paragraph 3, I think I said, got us out of the war quick. Paragraph 3 will be all about how dropping the atomic bomb got us out of the war quick. All right, it's pretty simple. But paragraph 2, 3, and 4 are all your body paragraphs. All right, very good. Paragraph 5 is your conclusion. All right, your conclusion. This is where you're going to restate your thesis. And then finally, this is the most important part, you're going to connect the topic to today's world. So, going back to my example on dropping the atomic bomb, connecting it to today's world, say, by utilizing the atomic bomb, it made America a world power. Now we have several atomic bombs, and has made us probably the most powerful nation in the world because of us discovering the nuclear weapon first. So essentially, I'm going to connect it to today's world. And then again, 4 to 5 sentences. Don't be afraid to have more than 4 to 5 sentences, but if you have less, you need to make more. All right, so at least 4 to 5, but if you have more than that, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I should say this too, up here in these body paragraphs, again, I would say 4 to 6 minimum. All right, and I'll tell you about this here in just a second. So I just want to review. Hopefully you took notes on this. All right, I will tell the sub to have you take notes, so just want to go over this really quick. But paragraph 1 is your introduction. Sets the stage for what you're going to talk about. Should be at least 4 to 5 sentences for your intro, and the last sentence of your intro should be your thesis. And your thesis is where you take a stance on the question that's being asked, and you give at least 3 claims to support your stance. All right, I believe this because 1, 2, 3. All right, done. The next 3 paragraphs will address each one of those claims. So paragraph 2 will address the first claim of your thesis. Paragraph 3 will address the second claim of your thesis. And paragraph 4 will address the third claim of your thesis. All right? Okay? Each one of these body paragraphs should be 4 to 6 sentences minimum. All right? 4 to 6 sentences minimum. And then finally, paragraph 5 is your conclusion, where you're going to restate your thesis and connect the topic to today's world. And again, it should be roughly about 4 to 5 sentences. You're going to have 90 minutes to write this assignment. Use all the time. All right, take your time. All right, go through it. Don't rush through it. Don't try to be the first one done. All right, truly take your time. I know it's hard for me. I'm not there to motivate you, but essentially, I'm asking you guys to give your best effort for me, if nothing else. All right, so again, this is kind of what it will look like. Now let's talk about what the actual test will look like. So keep taking notes with me. I think this will help us. We're going to talk about the actual assessment, okay, the state assessment. Now this is where we aren't 100% sure exactly what this will look like, but we will assume that you will receive sources. All right, so when you open your test, you will be given sources to write your paper with. All right, so they're going to give you sources. So the first thing you need to do is read your sources, or worst case scenario, skim them. All right, skim them, minimum. All right, look over all of them. Some of them could be charts, some of them could be graphs, some of them could be, just short little quotes. None of them are going to be overly huge, but all of them will have some sort of relevance to the question that's being asked. So read your sources, skim your sources, and then the first thing I'd want to do is try to make a connection. Okay, what's the common theme with all these sources? And I will tell you this. You can choose whatever stance you want, and it doesn't matter what you choose, as long as you prove it with the sources. That's all that matters. So make a connection, all right, develop a thesis, all right, and then find facts in sources. All right, so again, here's 5 key tips. You're going to be given the sources to write your paper. Read the sources or skim them. So that's kind of 2 steps in one. All right, read your sources or skim them. Make a connection. What are they trying to tell you? All right, develop a thesis around the connection, and then find facts in your sources that you're going to want to include when you write. All right, so when you write your paper, you're going to include sources from those sources that are given to you. Include facts from those sources. When you write your paper, and I know you guys have done this, but again, I'm going to go over this. I think it's important. When you write your paper, you are going to cite your sources as you write the paper. You need to make sure that you include at least 2 sources per body paragraph. At least 2 sources per body paragraph. That you can write about. So at least 2 sources, and you know what? I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna change this to 1. At least 1 source per body paragraph, and the reason why is we don't know how many you're going to be given. So at least 1, but you should try, if there are more sources given to you, to have 2, maybe 3 per body paragraph. So when you start to write your paper, and I'm hoping that you guys have a general understanding of how to write a paper, that I'm not going to go over this overly in depth. I know you've written them before, so essentially you're going to have at least 1 source per body paragraph. If there are 2 or 3 or 4 sources given to you, that number, this number right here, should be increased. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's an important part of what you're going to do. So 1 source per body paragraph, that helps justify, I'm going to capitalize this, all right, your claims. All right, helps justify your claim. Okay, so keep in mind this is kind of what you're expected to do. Now, when you're citing, okay, if I have a source that I want to use in my paper, okay, I am going to first paraphrase your facts. Okay, paraphrase your facts. Avoid quotes. Okay, paraphrase your facts. That means reword them. If you don't know what paraphrase means, it means to reword, all right, the statement. Okay, reword it. All right, so you're going to reword it, and then you're going to cite it. So I'm going to give you an example of what this will look like in your paper. All right, so I'm going to go to a paper I've written. Okay, let's see here. All right, this is a paper I've written, part of a master's program. And all right, here's an example right here. I'm going to zoom in so you can see this. This statement right here was a statement that I took from a book, okay, from a book. And I said, their goal should be to make sure the organization's values are represented and aligned with their interactions with the guests. Disregard the content. But when you cite a source, you are going to include, after a statement that you make from a source, you are going to include a citation. All right, your citation doesn't need to look like this. it just might need to say document 1. Okay, and the documents that you're given should be numbered, all right, but it should be something like that. All right, so you say document 1. All right, pretty simple. I know I threw a lot at you. I'm going to review this very quickly to go back. 5-paragraph essay. First paragraph is an introduction. Paragraph 2, 3, and 4 are your body paragraphs. Paragraph 5 is your conclusion. And then a couple of quick facts. First, read your sources right when you're given them. Read them or skim them. Maybe highlight them. They're going to be on your computer, so you don't have any paper copies of them. Make a connection. Try to figure out what all of them are saying. Try to develop a thesis around those sources, and then find facts in those sources to help support your thesis. Your goal should be to include at least one, and I hesitate to say one because I would encourage you to use more, but at least one source per body paragraph that helps justify a claim. When you find facts to put in your paper, you should paraphrase them. Avoid just quoting them. Try to paraphrase them or reword them. And then finally, make sure to cite them. All right, cite your sources. All right, that's important. Actually, I'll type it this way: cite sources. All right, cite sources, and you can be as simple as doc 1. All right, that's all you need to put. After you paraphrase anything, you would cite it. All right, so good luck, have fun, enjoy the activity today. But essentially, I just asked you guys do your best. I'm going to try to come up Thursday and see you guys before you start. So hopefully you'll be excited to see me, because I do miss you guys. So I hope you guys are having a good time, and hope you enjoy the process. So do your best, and I'll see you in a couple weeks. All right.